What's up, everybody? Welcome to the In Love with Horror podcast. We are your hosts. I'm AJ.
And I'm Kristie. Join us for a love affair with all things horror as we explore the world of horror films, games, and everything in between.
All right, y'all. As always, we got another great episode for y'all today. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode because there's not a whole lot that came out this week, but still, as always, a couple things noteworthy to talk about. Of course, we got a lot of different Exorcist believer clips to drop this week, so we'll be talking about that in our trailers section, as well as some interesting streaming series and movies that'll be dropping that we'll be talking about. For horror news this week, the first thing we'll be talking about, of course, is the writer's strike for the Writers Guild being over. So we'll be talking about some of the news that came out of that. We'll also be talking about another Conjuring documentary that's going to be dropping here on streaming services as well. We had mentioned one previously. There's another one coming too, so stay tuned and check out that. And then for the main topic today, y'all, we're going to be talking about Saw 10, giving you our spoiler review on the new Saw film, the new entry into the Saw franchise, and, give you our thoughts on that. Of course, that'll be a spoiler review, so make sure you stick around for that. But all that and more is coming on the In Love with Horror podcast, so stay tuned. All right, y'all. Now, before we get started into all the trailers that dropped this week, of course, we're going to talk about what we watched this week. Now, I didn't get the opportunity to watch anything because I was super busy this week. But, baby, I know you watched a couple things this week, so go ahead and talk to us about what you watched.
All right, sure thing. I watched a couple different series. The first one being The Other Black Girl on Hulu. And I absolutely enjoyed that series. It's 10 episodes, and I watched them all straight through. They were really, really good.
It's always a good time when you binge it like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much kind of like Black Mirror. It's like some of the stuff that happens it's not really like scary. It's just like you trying to like uncover it, I guess, type of thing. More like a psychological horror, if I had to put it into like a genre. But like the main girl is the actress Sinclair Daniel that was in the Insidious movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was Dalton's roommate. So she was really good. I thought she was really good in that movie. She's really good in this series as well. And if you never heard of The Other Black Girl, she's basically this girl who works in this publishing house as an assistant, and she's the only Black girl in the office. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very, real thing that Black people sometimes have to experience. And then this new girl comes into the office and she's Black. And so she's like the first Black person that she's, had in the office. So it's really exciting. They try to band together type of thing. And when they do, weird stuff starts happening. Like she's like seeing stuff, hearing stuff.
Right.
And you try to figure out what the heck is going on. So the season ends on a cliffhanger, but you do know what's going on. So that's the good thing about it. So it's like the problem has been uncovered. And so I'm guessing in the second season, they're going to try to solve the problem. So at least you're not like left hanging to the point where it's like from where you have absolutely no idea what's going on. Right. And so that's the good thing about it. It's very good and you should definitely check it out, I think. And then I watched that Castlevania Nocturne series that's on Netflix.
Yep. Which I was surprised you watched that one.
Well, I like vampires, so I wanted to check it out. And I was pleasantly surprised. It's really good. The story is really good. Not into anime, but when I'm watching it, I don't feel like I'm watching an anime, I guess, if that makes sense.
Right. Yep.
Now there's a lot of like, I've never watched anything Castlevania, so I don't know anything about the show or the game prior to me watching this particular series.
Right.
From what I read about it, it is like a off story that's based on the main character in the series. His name is Richter Belmont, who's a character from the original Castlevania series. but there's like a lot of like animosity about this particular series because it's got a lot of blackness in it and like indigenous history and slavery. One of the characters, her name is Annette, and she literally escaped from slavery. The show is set in like the end of the 1700s around the French Revolution. And so you got like slavery and racism and religion and
That's cool.
The corruption of all of, things that are going on in the town because of religion. But yeah, it's really good. One of the main villains, he is an indigenous man, and I think he's like an Aztec. I think he's an Aztec or something like that. But yeah, it's a lot of like conversations around it and how they race swapped and all this kind of stuff on Reddit, and I thought it was very interesting. But I've never experienced it, so I wouldn't know the original characters, so I wouldn't know like, okay, this person was written white or whatever. But anyways, aside from all the drama, the series is really good. I definitely think it's worth checking out. Their one character, she's a vampire villain. Her name is Drolta. She's black and she's got a purple fro. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be her for Halloween.
Okay.
She looks so cool.
Okay, so how many episodes was it? Was it not that many?
I think it's 8. It's 8 episodes, and they're only like 25 minutes long.
Okay.
Yeah, it don't take no time to get through that.
Thanks. So you binged that whole thing too?
Because the story was so good. Like you want to know what's going to happen. It was just a really good series.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I enjoyed both of those. I give them all, good recommendations. Both good recommendations.
Okay, cool, baby. Well, I got to put both of those on my list, and I'm sure our listeners will be adding that to their October watch list as well. Now that we're getting into the official spooky season time. But yeah, y'all, that's what we watched this week. Thank you, baby, for sharing those two things. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch anything. I was super busy. But with the spooky season upon us, of course, that will be changing as we get into the October movie marathon, y'all. But with that concludes that section, and we'll be jumping into the horror trailers that dropped this week, y'all. We'll be starting off with a series of 3 clips that dropped for Exorcist Believer. Now, if you're not familiar with Exorcist Believer, of course, that's the new Exorcist film. It's a sequel movie to the original Exorcist from 1973. And let me real quick read y'all the synopsis for Exorcist Believer. Since the death of his pregnant wife in a Haitian earthquake 12 years ago, Victor Fielding has raised their daughter, Angela, on his own. But when Angela and her friend Catherine disappear in the woods, only to return 3 days later with no memory of what happened to them, it unleashes a chain of events that will force Victor to confront the nadir of evil and, in his terror and desperation, seek out the only person alive who has faced the same. And of course, this film is being directed by David Gordon Green, who did the most recent Halloween trilogy. Now let's dive into the 3 clips that dropped this week, and we'll talk about each one of those. So we're starting off with with the first clip, which was a clip that dropped on Universal Pictures YouTube channel, and this clip was all about the body and the blood scene that we see, of course, in both trailers, I believe. So we're getting some expanded insight into how the sequence of events play out in this scene. So we see Catherine, sitting in the church pews, and she's, obviously got something going on with her, like she's feeling uncomfortable as the church is, practicing communion, and then she ends up getting up and leaving, and the mom's like, "Oh, hey, the dad was like, hey, where'd Catherine go? Oh, she just left." And then that's when we get the scene from the trailers as she opens up the doors, she starts walking down, the middle aisle, and yelling the body and the blood, and then the mom seeing her like, "Hey, like, what are you doing?" But yeah, so it was cool to get additional context to how that scene plays out. But before I dive into my thoughts, what were your thoughts on this clip, baby?
I don't know. I guess my thing is, I don't know. I don't know really what to say about it. I guess it was interesting to see what led up to the body and blood part.
Yeah.
I know originally when I was watching the trailer, I was wondering like, where was she at?
Right. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess that was cool to see, like where she was actually at church and she just wandered off, I guess. And I guess she was kind of like mocking the whole communion thing. So it made, I guess
it added to it.
Sorry. Yeah, it brought some clarity to it. Hold on, babe.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so I just feel like it brought a little bit more clarity to that scene. But honestly, I will say, I guess it's like a thing now, right? Where these studios put out clips of their movie. But I don't understand, like, wait, what the purpose of that is. Like, especially multiple clips. So last week you weren't with us, but there was another clip, 2 clips last week that I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got 3 clips this week. And, even with Saw, like there was a bunch of clips of like their traps and stuff like that. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm just wondering like what the purpose behind like revealing so much of the movie. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. And to kind of piggyback off of that, it's also weird. Like when you watch this Body in the Blood clip, like it seemed like they were shortening it for time. I don't know if you felt like that when you're watching it, because the way it kind of like jumps, I was like, I can't play out this way in the movie because it feels like we're jumping in the scene itself.
Yeah.
Because the flow didn't feel right, especially towards the end when they're like coming to grab her and stuff like that. I was like, the way it's being cut right now, it feels like it's for the purposes of this clip. But I was like you, I just kind of felt like indifferent about it. I'm sure the clip doesn't feel as good outside the context of the entire movie, especially because I feel like it's edited weird in this trailer clip. But I don't know. I didn't really do this clip. Didn't really do anything for me because I already feel like the vibe of the scene's kind of funny already. With the Body and the Blood thing. The initial,
maybe it makes more sense in the movie itself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And because then like we'll have context to like the stage of her progression of her possession.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And like, I think having that extra context of like, oh, okay. Like she's showing this at home. Now we're at church and like, we're seeing that build up. But when you take it on its own, it feels kind of goofy, So, we'll see. Like, but it was cool to see. Why you laughing?
I think this whole thing is goofy.
Yeah, it does feel that way sometimes. And it's funny because I just watched like some behind the scenes clips recently. Where, like people involved are obviously very passionate about it, like the performers and stuff like that. But for some reason, it's just not conveying well when you take clips isolated outside of the film. At least not for me anyway. But
okay.
Well, let's just jump to the next clip, y'all. So that was the first clip, the Body and the Blood one, and then the next one that we got was an exclusive from Bloody Disgusting, and this clip was a 30-second clip of Angela attacking her dad in the house. So in this clip, it looked like Victor was doing something, like he went to the bathroom, then he came back out, and he's looking for Angela, like she just kind of vanished.
Yeah.
And so he goes into her room and he's like looking around, like where's she at? And then suddenly Angela comes from behind him and like kind of like with a scarf and like wraps his head and like pulls him back, and he ends up falling backwards and hitting his head on the side of her bed, and she kind of like leaves the room and the door closes on its own behind her. I thought the scene was all right. Yeah, I thought the scene was actually pretty good. Especially, I feel like it definitely adds to the like possession thing, like having the daughter like attack the dad, and I'm sure seeing that escalation of possession is going to be super crazy, and she's going to be super different, and he's going to be like, what the hell is going on? So her doing that, I feel like is super. Is already super like out of line. You know what I mean? And then her like kind of like leaving the room and the door closing behind her. Like like in the way if you look at that scene, like where she kind of like backs out of the edge of the door, it's kind
Yeah.
of like a shadowy moment with the door closing. I don't know, that part actually pretty good. I did like the way that scene played out.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like this clip. What do you think about this clip?
Yeah, I like this one too.
Yeah.
So if we get, some more of that creepiness, because I feel like this scene was like super creepy. I think they'll be really good. I did like how she went out the room, and I'm sure he's gonna be like not gonna believe that door closed on its own type of thing, and it'll
I'm sure
probably
that
still be a minute after this that he actually decides to get help for her. But yeah, I thought that was a good scene though.
Yeah,
It looked
I agree.
good.
I agree. All right, so that's the second clip, y'all. And now the last clip is another Bloody Disgusting exclusive clip. And this one was another 30-second clip with Victor talking to Chris McNeil and showing her a picture of his daughter. So he's basically talking to her, saying that he knows like her story and was seeking her help to see if she can help his daughter. And she showed Chris McNeil a picture, and it was like it looked like it was a picture of his daughter's body, and it was like super like cut up, and it just looked really bad. Like it was very sliced up, injured looking body, and which I thought was cool because I was like, dang, like that's pretty graphic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of like this clip too. Seeing that interaction, and I think the big thing for me with the Chris McNeil character is kind of like, where is she at right now? Like, is she being viewed as this almost like supernatural, like paranormal warrior type person? Because with this being this is a direct sequel to the original, so I don't think they're taking into account any of the films that came after this 1973 film. So in my mind, I'm like, well, she didn't really do anything in the original Exorcist. You know what I'm saying? In the context of like, combating the evil. You know what I mean? So I wonder what she's done since that film to make her I've done this before, I know what to do type of situation. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of it was just all the two priests kind of taking on a lot of that. So I'm curious to see what she has encountered and learned since that experience. But I thought this clip was fine. I think it's cool to get that character back, the Chris McNeil character. And this clip just shows like just how prominent of a character she is in this film. I remember when we first saw this, I was wondering, like, it kind of felt like she's a main character, but I was like, yeah, like she is like a super central piece to the story. But what do you think about this clip, baby?
Yeah, I thought it was a good clip as well. We kind of learn that she doesn't know where Reagan is, which I thought was interesting.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. I took it more as like, not maybe she doesn't know exactly what to do, but maybe she knows the signs and she might know, what the steps are, type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On what to do, give him some kind of guidance on what to do next.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a good scene.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. It's funny because I feel like these three clips, I feel like kind of do the film better justice than the actual trailers do, which is a good thing. I think. I think the verdict's still out for me. I think probably for you too, but I think the clips do show potential, but we'll see how the complete package comes together on October 6th when this movie releases in theaters, y'all. So we're literally like right around the corner. We're recording this on Friday, September 29th, and we are a week away from the release of this film. So it won't be long before we'll find out for sure how good this film is.
Yeah.
But with that, y'all, that's the first trailer or the first series of clips that we got. Now we'll dive into the next trailer that dropped this week, and that is for a Netflix film called Sister Death. Now let me read you the synopsis for this if you're not familiar. Synopsis reads: in post-war Spain, Narcissa, played by Aria Bedmar, a young novice with supernatural powers, arrives at a former convent, now a school for girls, to become a teacher. As the days go by, the strange events and increasingly disturbing situations that torment her will eventually lead her to unravel the terrible skein of secrets that surround the convent and haunt its inhabitants. And this will be a Netflix film that's dropping on October 27th. It's being directed by Paco Plaza as part of the Veronica universe, which I don't think I've seen because because Veronica was just one Netflix film, right? Yeah, no, which I don't think I did watch that one. But speaking to this trailer specifically, I thought the trailer was very good visually. You kind of read the description and you have an idea, but I feel like the trailer didn't really help me wrap my mind around like what exactly was going on. But visually speaking, it looked really good, especially towards the end when we get that kind of, montage of just weird, creepy stuff going on and what looks like visions and hallucinations and there's a lot of creepy imagery. And then there's that part where the little girl's like, oh, don't move, it's right behind you. I like stuff like that. So visually, I was like, oh, this looks kind of weird and creepy. But I'm not, to be honest, I'm not sure what's going on. But the trailer was enough for me for it to now be on my interest list, especially with it coming out right around the time of Halloween. I think this would be a good one to watch. Concluding that movie marathon, and for them to drop it that close to Halloween, I feel like it must have some really good, spooky, creepy vibes, and it might not be too bad of a film. But yeah, what do you think about the trailer, babe, when you saw it?
Yeah, I felt exact same. It did look very creepy. And I haven't watched Veronica either, but I did hear that was pretty good. So maybe this one will be just as good.
Yep.
I believe it's the same director. So, but yeah, I'm like you. I couldn't if I didn't read the synopsis, I wouldn't have known exactly what was going on in the trailer. But looking at it, like you said, it looks like it might be a good one. A lot of creepiness for sure.
Oh yeah. Some very creepy imagery at this one, y'all. But we'll see come October 27th, how good this one is. It's definitely on my list now. I definitely want to check this one out. But again, that's called Sister Death, and that's coming on Netflix, y'all. So make sure you get that prepped for your watch list and for your spooky movie marathon list for October, y'all. Now, moving on to the last trailer that we'll be covering from this week is a Hulu series called Living for the Dead. This series, the synopsis reads, from the creators of Queer Eye, 5 fabulous queer ghost hunters roam the country helping the living by healing the dead. Our gay ghost huntees explore infamous haunted locations while pushing past boundaries with both the living and the deceased. It's being executive produced and narrated by Kristen Stewart. Now, it's kind of funny because the way that we kind of do our show here, y'all, Kristie will go in and kind of create like a show notes for the show and we'll, add stuff to it and review it. But it's funny when I was reviewing, our trailers portion, I saw that description, right, that you put. And at first I thought it was like the cast from Queer Eye. Like actually doing the ghost hunting. And I was like, you know what? That sounds hilarious. Like that sounds like a genius idea. But no, it is, a different set of hosts.
That actually would be really good.
Yeah,
especially Jonathan. Oh my gosh.
They'd be cutting up.
He would be so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I read it, I was like, oh man, this is genius. But no, it's a different cast of five individuals who are doing the ghost hunting. But honestly, the trailer for this series actually looks like a lot of fun. I think, ghost hunting as a as a job, a hobby, or whatever, has really exploded. It's funny to think like its origins on TV and how it's become now like a big YouTube thing. There's a lot of YouTubers who focus on paranormal investigation and stuff like that. So
yeah,
to expand it in this way, to have like these, queer ghost hunters to give it a different vibe, a different feel, to bring some character to it, like, and have some fun with it. A lot of times you get the paranormal investigations and ghost hunter shows where it's super serious. This one seems like it's going to be serious, but also have some like lightheartedness to it at the same time, make some jokes and have a good time with it, and have fun with the investigation part, while also, one of the key parts that it mentions is, healing both the living and the deceased. And we see, clips in the trailer of, these hosts, helping what seems to be individuals maybe get past a loss or dealing with, whatever haunting might be going on in their home. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on with those, but you can tell that they're helping people. It seems like it's going to be some very emotional parts. Baby, I can already see you're going to be crying on some of those parts, I'm sure. But yeah, I thought this, really, I thought this looked pretty good. Like, I think this looks like a fun show. What did you think about when you saw the trailer, bro?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely watching it. That's what I was thinking to myself.
Yeah.
I love Queer Eye. And the setup is pretty much the same, except they're not doing home makeovers and people makeovers. They're like, helping people deal with their hauntings. So the concept is like ingenious, right? It's just like, oh, wow, that's such a great idea. And then the different people that they look like they chose to be these hosts, I think they're all like, they look like they fit this type of show. And they're similar to me to the personalities of the people who are in Queer Eye. Like, you have like kind of mirrored characters. Yeah,
I got that sense too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I think that this is going to be good. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching it. I always like ghost hunting anyway. And it's funny that you mentioned how like the differences, like, for example, like Ghost Adventures, how super serious and over the top serious that show is.
Very over the top serious.
Yeah. So this would be a good little refreshing thing. And then there's another show, is it Ghost Brothers? I think there's like they're like a black team of brothers that do ghost hunting. Mm-hmm. Or is it three? It's three of them. Like, they're super funny. Like, it's going to be comedic. Like, there's no like seriousness really in it whatsoever. So I think this show is kind of like a in between of those type of shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think that, you spoke to the host of the show feeling like the Queer Eye host, and kind of like the different, archetypes essentially.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure they were like, oh, we got a recipe with that show. We got to kind of follow suit a little bit.
Yeah.
So kind of people have to fit like they have to fill a certain slot.
Yeah.
So you definitely get that sense and that vibe. But yeah, the show looks like a lot of fun, y'all. I don't know if they dropped a release date on this show. I didn't see it in the notes. You know when this show releases?
I didn't see it on there.
It says it's part of Hulu, so I'd imagine it's coming sometime in October, y'all. Yeah. But I'm not. The trailer didn't have a release date, y'all, and the YouTube release didn't have a. Oh, there we go. I just saw it in the trailer, like right at the very end. It was October 18th. So October 18th, it looks like they're dropping it went by super fast. I don't know why I did it that way, but all episodes of this series are dropping on October 18th. And again, y'all, that's for the show Living for the Dead. So make sure you put that on your watch list for October as well. We got a bunch of different stuff to watch. I feel like the list just keeps growing.
October is overwhelming.
Yeah, the list just keeps
There's no way we can watch everything in October.
Yeah, the list keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But that actually concludes the trailers portion of the podcast. Now we'll be jumping into the horror news, y'all. And we're starting off with probably the biggest piece of news in terms of, filmmaking, cinema, TV. And that's that the Writers Guild of America strike is finally over, y'all. So after 148 days, the writer's strike for WGA has finally come to an end with a tentative agreement that has been made with the Hollywood studios. Now, Now I'll go through some different key notes that were written in the Variety article that dropped about the strike concluding. So according to the article from Variety, y'all, following a marathon negotiation session, that's a mouthful, the two sides were able to find compromises on key sticking points, including generative AI in the creative process, minimum staffing requirements for writers' rooms, and streaming residuals. The biggest issue, of course, was AI when it comes to the strike. But according to the agreements, AI-generated material can't be used to undermine a writer's credit or separated rights. The company can't require the writer to use AI software, such as ChatGPT, when performing writing services unless the writer chooses to. The company itself must disclose to the writer if any materials given to the writer have been generated by AI or incorporate AI-generated material, and the WGA reserves the right to assert that exploitation of writers' material to train AI is prohibited by NBA or other law. Now, one thing I did want to note, y'all, is that there is still the SAG after strike that's going on. So that strike's been going on for 75 days now. So that strike is still going, and I believe the WGA actually encouraged members of that organization that if they can to go join the SAG after picket lines to help in that cause, in that fight. But yeah, so some of those key points that I mentioned in the negotiations comes from the 94-page NBA contract. That first of all, I just wanted to say that 94 pages is crazy. Like that is insane to think about.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Going through 94 pages of different terms and agreements and deals. That's just a lot in general to work and outline. But the summary of all those terms I just mentioned come from that 94-page NBA contract. So like I said, on the strike ended back on Wednesday of this week. So we're filming on the Friday the 29th, so it ended on Wednesday. So I'm sure all the studios are scrambling to get back to writing, probably contacting a lot of writers, and everyone's trying to scramble to get things up and running because a lot of things are put on pause. And so they're going to be playing catch up. But I'm glad to hear that, negotiations were reached, compromises were reached, and they were able to work things out in favor of the WGA members. Hopefully SAG-AFTRA can, get the same deals with those negotiations as well. Now, another cool tidbit that came out of this too, over on the Discussing Film Twitter account, they did mention that under this new writers agreement, that studios will have to provide streaming data to the WGA, of course, under non-disclosure agreement. They must provide the worldwide total number of hours streamed, and then the WGA is then allowed to share the info with members in an aggregated form. This is actually super cool.
Yeah,
because streaming services have, infamously been super tight-lipped about their numbers. How many times something has been streamed, how much has been watched, how many hours consumed. Super tight-lipped, understandably so, because they're all in competition with each other. So they try to, play it off like, oh, this is the number one streaming thing on this service, yada yada yada.
Right.
But now the WGA will be able to push out to the members, and they're going to get hard data, y'all, on how much something's actually being streamed. And of course, this will help with residuals and things like that and fair payment. Right. So this is super cool. I thought this was all incredible news to hear. What were your thoughts, babe, when you read and saw this?
Yeah, I'm really glad that they were able to, even though it's tentative, I'm hoping that it's, solid for them. But I'm glad they were able to finally reach some agreements. The biggest thing being that AI issue, and then what you were just talking about, them having that transparency when it comes to the streaming platforms. I know those were some of the heavier issues. So I'm glad that they were able to reach an agreement. So I feel like the AI thing was kind of scary.
It was crazy. It was just insane.
Yeah. So I'm really glad they were able to come, get some kind of term agreed on that part. Because that was basically like taking away people's livelihoods using AI. I thought that was just insane.
Yeah.
So
because AI, it's crazy because AI is just so strong now.
Yeah.
You can tell it to write anything, and it will do it. So it's, of course, the SAG-AFTRA one, that is all about the actors. So they have their own AI battle that they're trying to negotiate against as well. This one was strictly, concerning like the writers and using AI for writing.
Somebody basically taking away their job or reducing their job. If you're saying you write this, and because that GPT is fast, so
it spits something out instantly.
Right, I can imagine that seriously takes a lot away from a writer being able to do their job. So I'm taking away so much. So I'm glad that they're able to reach that agreement regarding that.
Yeah, because the Chat GPT stuff is scary. It can literally do anything, y'all. It'll write you whatever you want it to write.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they're able to do that. I'm hoping SAG-AFTRA can do that too, because they were talking about some crazy stuff for actors where they were like,
even crazier.
We can scan you and just use your digital likeness forever, and like literally just drop you in movies. Like, yep, you're gonna be a background character. We're just gonna drop the AI image, and it'll just do everything for us, and you won't be needed at all. It's like, no, like,
so crazy.
That's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are taking away from people's livelihood. You're taking away from the art of filming and creating stuff. And we saw that as things just went more digital, like more blue screen, more CGI. The studios are just trying to, make as much money as humanly possible without actually paying anybody or do anything. So I'm glad that they were able to fight against this, at least for the writer side, hopefully for the actor side as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, y'all, this was a big win. Hopefully everything gets signed off and everything's good there. And then SAG-AFTRA, who it looks like they're hoping to meet negotiations Monday. We'll get some good news from that as well. But as always, continue to support all the people that are in the process, that contribute to the process of filmmaking, because when a lot of people will skip the credits, right? If you actually sit down and look at the credits of the people that are actually involved in making these film and TV shows that you watch, it's a lot of people, man. It is crazy how many people are involved in making the things that we like, that we love to watch. So all those people deserve to be compensated, and one, compensated, but then also two, just getting their fair contribution, and being what's the word I'm looking for? Getting recognized for their work as well. But yeah, y'all, that was major. Now moving on to our next story. This is all about Michael Myers, y'all. So this is a pretty crazy story. So I'm going to be reading about this, talking to you all about this from Bloody Disgusting in their article. But let me break this down because it's a little confusing, y'all. But the owner and co-owner of the Michael Myers, the Halloween television and movie rights, Malik Akkad Tracos International Films, is actively shopping the rights of the Halloween franchise around to Hollywood. Now, like I said before, because the rights, hold on, y'all, because my wife is typing stuff in the notes while I'm actively reading.
You didn't have to read it, Cletus. I was just saying.
What? Read what?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Keep going.
Oh, okay. Anyways, y'all. But yeah, so the Tracos International Films, they co-own the film rights with Miramax, and then they have exclusive rights to television properties. So they're shopping around both right now. And currently in the shopping, or at least for the television rights, it looks like there's a big bidding war between A24 and Miramax trying to get the television rights. Now, we know that not too long ago that A24 will be bringing Jason to the small screen with their upcoming release of Crystal Lake to Peacock. So it looks like they're trying to take on another iconic.
Which I didn't know. I didn't know it was A24 that was behind that.
I didn't know that either. I was like, shoot, I didn't know that. So yeah, it was a pleasant surprise to me too. But currently A24 supposedly is leading the bidding war against Miramax. to try to get rights to make a Halloween television series, which I think would be super cool. Now, Troncos is open to both film and television projects, and they're openly taking pitches from studios for both. So one that was shocking to me because I'm like, dang, we just concluded the Halloween trilogy. Whether you liked it or not, it happened. And so it looks like those owners are like, all right, what's next? Like we want to we want to keep making money off this shit. Like where are we putting it out to next?
Why they can't just come up with a new idea? Like put him in the vault. I think it's time to put
give him or
vault.
at least give him another break or something. Now,
a long break. Yeah.
Now I will say though, the concept of a television series I think is cool.
But what would it be about?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, that's true because we've covered the story. Like
the story has been covered. Like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just couldn't see how or what else you could tell even in a television series format.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they came up with a really unique spin on it, then I can, I could say, okay, well, maybe I could check this out. But other than that, it's like, what else can you tell about this guy? Like, so many movies have come out about his life, his story, his childhood, his adulthood. We've seen him die. Like, it's like, what else? They
basically have to come up with a new story.
Yeah. You would have to have a new story.
Like completely delete whatever might have been canon and just make their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I guess now to your point, how do you make a series out of Michael Myers? Because it's a slasher film.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to be always on the hunt each episode? Like in the background, like hunting people? You know what I'm trying to say? Like this is a constant trying to get away or running. So you got a good point. How would they make a series out of this?
Well, I don't know. Movie? I mean, obviously they made a series about Jason, and I probably would have said the same thing before they did that. I mean, I don't know the context of what the series is really going to be about, and I mean it's called Crystal Lake, so I'm assuming that it's more so about what happened to him there as a kid. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know. So, I mean, that is kind of like a little bit different, but I don't know. I just can't see. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the whole like series thing. Like, I don't know what you could tell in a multiple episode format.
About this story. Yeah. Like he's going to be like a villain that pops up every couple episodes. Like, oh shit, he's here in this episode. Kind of focus on them trying to get away. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know if they'll try to expand on the lore because he always seems like invincible. He is the shape. He's the force.
That would be good, I guess.
Yeah.
More of an understanding of how is it that he just keep on going.
Yeah, I don't know. But with A24, I feel like we'll get something very unique. And artistic that'll actually be good. But
and that's if they win.
That's true. That is if they win. But they are in the lead, y'all. So it could very much end up being the case.
And they could get it and hold on to it for a while, which I think would be smarter.
Yeah, and just to wait it out. But it's gonna take time to make anyway. So it'll be a couple of years before we see anything out of this.
Yeah. Right.
But just the fact that it's being shopped around because they're like, we want more Halloween content back out there. I thought was just surprising because it wasn't that long ago we got the trilogy. So. Just know, y'all, that it's being shopped around. So in a few years, we very much could be seeing not only another movie somehow, but a television series as well. So stay tuned for that. All right, now, y'all, we're going to jump into our next topic, which is all about another Conjuring documentary. Now, last week we talked about Netflix's upcoming documentary, The Devil on Trial, about the true story behind The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. Well, we have another one in the works based on The Conjuring 2. Now, on October 27th, Apple TV will be releasing their own documentary called The Enfield Poltergeist, and it's based on the true story that we see in the Conjuring 2 film. The series is directed by Jerry Rothwell and is being produced by Met Film and Concordia Studio, the producer of Apple's Emmy-nominated doc Still, a Michael J. Fox movie. Throughout the 4-episode event, let me backtrack. Throughout 4 episodes, the events at Enfield are reconstructed using the real recordings captured by Maurice Gross, a paranormal investigator who archived all of his interviews with those affected by the phenomena. Building a replica of the house where the incidents took place, performers reenact what is heard on the actual tapes, allowing an interplay by the archival voices and appearances of those originally involved in the incident through present-day interviews. They also released a trailer with this story as well, so you can get a little insight into, how the docuseries will look and feel. But yeah, y'all, this one actually sounds really cool. The fact that they're having kind of like the reenactments reminds me of like back when I used to watch all the different paranormal shows like on Discovery Channel when they would, people would do the interviews and then they would play out the reenactment with, actors and performers. This reminds me a lot with that. But it's cool to get the original recordings because I don't know if y'all have heard them. I don't know if you remember from the second film, they actually played it at the end credits. But those recordings sound super crazy. They sound super creepy. So it'd be cool to not only get those and get the reenactment, but they're also going to have interviews from the people that were actually involved in, this paranormal incident. I think the main little girl, you see it in the trailer. I'm pretty sure it was her as an adult, actually saying like, what she experienced is very real. So I think it'd be really cool and interesting to get, that like true story insight in this format with reenactments, interviews, everything compiled in a way that makes it, obviously conveys the facts, but also makes it interesting to consume. But what do you think about when you heard all this on another Conjuring documentary, Beth?
I thought it was very interesting that they're creating these. Like I said last week, we talked about the Devil Made Me Do It one, and now this one. I just thought it was interesting that they're, creating these documentaries in general around these stories. They are really interesting stories, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm sure lots of people will be watching. I did watch the little trailer, and they do like build a set that looks like the house, and they even had the little girl in the reenactment wearing the same pajama nightgown, and it definitely played up the whole reenactment section. And I did think about those old series that used to come on TV as
those
well.
Were great.
I thought about those.
Those were great. I still remember some of those. They were really good.
Yeah.
I still remember how the intro, the show on Discovery thing was called A Haunting. It was like a haunting.
Yes, that was the one I used to watch.
That was crazy, man.
It was crazy. Yeah, so
nightmares.
Yeah, it definitely gave me those vibes.
Yep.
And then hearing those recordings, whew, I mean, I never really liked them in the credit scene, in the end credits on the movies.
Yeah, they're
so
super creepy.
Imagine like trying to watch this series and listening to those voices and stuff like that. So I'm probably not going to watch this just because I don't really don't want to hear all that.
Yeah, it's going to make you, it gets under your skin. Like, no, this is like real
give you,
recorded
like,
stuff. Yeah, you will get goosebumps. But yeah, this is cool, y'all. Again, like I said before, just another thing to add to October because coming out October 27th.
Yeah.
The list for October, y'all, is massive. There's no way we'll be able to watch all these things.
No,
but the fact that it's there is cool. It'll just carry us into November and the rest of the year because we consume horror every day, any time of the year, y'all. That's right. What it's all about. But yeah, moving on to our last story, y'all. This is just some quick box office news that happened last weekend. So of course, It Lives Inside opened last weekend and it passed $3 million worldwide. So congrats to the team there. We haven't had a chance to watch that film yet, but we've heard great things.
Yeah.
The Nun 2 passed $200 million worldwide. I know for the past, 3 weekends has been number one.
Yeah.
Making good money domestically and worldwide. So 200 million gross so far, I think is great. I don't think it'll achieve the Nun 1 numbers because at that time, The Conjuring was at the peak of its, franchise power. But $200 million is still very respectable. And then, of course, we had Haunting in Venice, and it passed $70 million worldwide, which is putting it a little over Talk to Me, which I think somewhere around 40-something, I want to say.
No, it's 70. But
it is 72? Okay.
Yeah, it's 70, but a little bit lower. lower spectrum of 70.
Okay, so around the same. Okay, awesome. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk to me doing good numbers worldwide as well. Now, one more thing we did want to add in, y'all, because I'm recording this on Friday. So, Saw 10 just dropped officially the night before on Thursday night. And they're already saying that Saw 10 earned $2 million in its Thursday night preview. So it's looking to do pretty decent. It did better than Spiral in their Thursday night previews, and also did better than Jigsaw in their Thursday night previews as well. So it for all intents and purposes, with the Thursday night preview, is shaping up to do some decent numbers. And that's a perfect segue, y'all, because now we're going to jump into the main topic, which is all about Saw 10. So we're going to give you our spoiler review for Saw 10, so make sure you stay tuned. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and jump into the... Oh. It's on loop. I didn't realize that. Somehow the loop button got clicked. I don't know how. But yeah, y'all. So we're going to jump into the main topic, our Saw 10 spoiler review. Now, of course, this is directed by Kevin Grutert, who did Saw 6 and Saw 3D. Probably one of the best and one of the worst of the franchise, which is hilarious.
Right. Yeah.
It was written by Josh Stolberry and Pete Goldfinger, who wrote Jigsaw and Spiral, which is also crazy because those films were not great, especially Spiral was really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, just as a reminder, y'all, this is a spoiler review. So if you have not seen the film yet, make sure you do pause the podcast here. Go watch Saw 10 in theaters right now. And then please do come back and rejoin us as we discuss all the great things and our thoughts about this film. So as we like to do with our reviews, y'all, we'll go ahead and give you a rundown synopsis of the film, kind of, what happened, and then we'll jump into our thoughts on it and give it a rating. So in this film, we start out seeing Jigsaw getting some MRI scans. And as he's leaving, he sees this janitor thinking about stealing from a patient, and John has this imagining of a trap he could create for him based on the device that's on the patient's hand. And this is the eye-sucking trap that really isn't just in John's head. Hold on, I'm reading my wife's notes, y'all.
Don't try to put it on me because you can't read.
What? Look how you wrote this. That just says, this is the eye-sucking trap.
That is really in John's head. What's so hard about that?
In John's head. Oh, okay.
Okay, come on now.
All right. Okay.
Don't come for me.
Yeah. I thought it sounded. I feel like it read differently.
Right.
But yeah, this trap is just in John's head as the kid puts the items back, and John tells him good choice. Of course, he told him good choice because he was like, I was about to put you in a trap. Had you not? He's like, I was ready. I'm already in a bad mood. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Later, we see John go into a cancer support group where he hears the story of a man named Henry, and he's in stage 4 pancreatic cancer. When John meets with his doctor, he basically says he has months to live. So John is trying to get his affairs in order when he runs into Henry again, and he claims to have been cured by Dr. Finn Peterson. John looks into this guy and finds information from his daughter who has clinical evidence that this method of his works. And so John submits his info, and they call him with the details of the program the next day. And basically she tells him she'll make room for him in a week. So he arrives in Mexico City and meets a taxi driver, Diego, who takes him to the facility. At the house, there's a girl named Gabriella who says Dr. Cecilia saved her life, and it's her family's home. Dr. Cecilia introduced him to the team, and he also meets a patient named Parker, who's apparently having throat surgery. They do the surgery, and she tells him his numbers are good and to stick around a few days and finish the medicine she gave him. He is taken with Gabriella and wants to thank her, so he takes a bottle of tequila to the house, and everything is cleaned out. And he runs across a video that shows a surgeon operating on a brain, which is what he was looking at during his surgery, thinking it was his own. So that's what clued him into the fact that he was scammed. So we go into him and Amanda finding everyone and putting them in a building with their individual traps. The only person not in the group is Diego, who clued him in to those that were in on it, and he was able to beat his trap. At some point during the group trap, after the nurse Valentina dies, Parker shows up trying to get his money back. Amanda and John tie him up, disarm him, and tell him what they are doing. They give him one rule, no gun. He watches Mateo's trap, and they eventually cut him loose. After Gabriella's trap, he reveals that he is Cecilia's partner. Earlier, she had used Valentina's intestine to grab her phone, and she called him for help. They decide to put John in his own trap, and the little boy that John had befriended earlier is outside. Cecilia killed Gabriella and then brings the boy inside and basically tells John to choose between his life and the boy's life. When it looks like John is taking his own life to save the boy, Parker and Cecilia go look for the money. And as soon as Parker realizes that two people are needed for the trap, they put John and the boy in. Cecilia grabs a bag. She thinks the money is in, and the door shuts them inside, and the trap begins. They basically have to fight each other to survive, and Cecilia wins. John gives the little boy all the money, and they leave her in the room trapped. The mid-credit scene shows John and Hoffman putting Henry in his own trap in the original bathroom from Saw 1. And that, y'all, is pretty much Saw 10 in a nutshell. So I'm not sure how you want to break it down, babe, but I could just throw it to you to, give your overall thoughts about Saw 10.
Sure. Overall thoughts. I thought it was a decent film.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's not like super good, and it's definitely not the worst Saw film. So I would put it somewhere between like 3 and 4 on my list, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go back and look at it, but it was just okay for me, like in the middle.
Yeah.
It wasn't like super.
So you probably put it lower because I think we had Saw 4 at rank number 4 and Saw 3 rank number 3. I feel like.
Okay, yeah, so probably like in the middle then.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this was definitely a testament of if something's too good to be true, it's probably is.
Oh, yep, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. I really liked, like I was telling you, like the first half of the movie is very like dramatized. It's like you're just walking with John, seeing that experience that he went through, finding out about his cancer and just how bad it is, and him coming to terms with the fact that he's running out of time. He's putting his affairs in order, and he wants to live, but it's like, what can he do? Which is funny because he's created these scenarios for people to be able to try to beat death, and in this particular case, he can't do that. Like there's no way for him to beat this. So I felt like we got more of the human side of John in this film. His relationship with Amanda and the way he interacted with the little boy, like it really humanizes him, even though he's still like a villain,
Oh, right. Yeah. He's still put people in traps.
Yeah. So I do like that aspect. I like, getting to know Jigsaw and the way his mind works, and just what he was emotionally experiencing in those first, 2 Saw films. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was good. I thought the performances were really good. You talked about how people were begging for their lives. Like
they was begging.
They was
John, please. John was all hurt. Please, John. Yep, they was begging for their life.
They really did a good job, like seeing the differences between how they were acting in that house when he first comes in, and then seeing how they really were in real life, like in their real lives. I just those 2 different sides of the coin. I thought they portrayed that very well.
Oh yeah.
And what else did I like? Obviously, I think I like the traps. The director and whomever else is involved with creating these traps or whatnot, I thought they did a really good job of giving you that cringe factor, because it's like they sat with a lot of these things. It wasn't like flashes of anything. Like when she was sawing off her leg, like you were sitting there with her sawing off her leg, and it's just like, ooh. And even when like he was pulling out his brain, the pieces of his brain, like the moments when it was like the grossest, it was just like sitting there experiencing it. And then you also have that background of like the clock ticking down on all of these. And I just thought it was a really good really good balance between the gore and then the tension.
Yep.
And yeah, so I really like how they did that. There was another one that I thought was like super heavy, but I can't remember which trap it was now. Yeah, I like the open concept thing where, because he was like really in the room with these people while this was
Right.
all
Yeah.
going on.
Yep. They're
was
looking right at him, and there was John.
looking right
like,
at him, right?
Yep.
Exactly. So I did like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we only get that one scene of Billy the Puppet, but it is so funny. It was hilarious.
Yep.
It was funny because everybody that was in my theater, they just bust out laughing because he
Yep.
was just slowly creeping.
See, here he come. He creeping in. Yep. Yep.
Even
There he
Mateo
is.
was like, what the fuck? Like,
Yep.
that was super funny.
Uh-huh.
But it was good. The return of Amanda, that was good. I thought she
did
portrayed her
fine.
character pretty good. Yeah.
I hate the haircut they gave her, but I
didn't get that because
performed fine.
In Saw 2, her hair was long, but I can't remember what her hair looked like in the first Saw. So I feel like it wasn't that short.
It was long in the first Saw.
Okay, so why they cut it like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I thought it was cut in Saw 2.
Oh, well, maybe it was.
I don't think it was.
What I'm thinking
like
about?
That,
no, I was yeah, her hair was long in
Saw 3
when John was dying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. But it still wasn't chopped off like that though.
Nah, it wouldn't look like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the beginning of the movie, Diego shows the statue.
Mm-hmm.
And he replicated like the mask on Mateo's trap. I thought that was cool. Really clever.
Yeah, I did like that too. Yep.
And I hate that. Well, that's a dislike. Hold on. Oh, I think them putting Jigsaw in his own trap, even though it wasn't like he wasn't actually in a trap, but you know what I'm saying? Like that visual of him being in a trap was a different take and a different, unique way to tell the story because we've never seen that before in any of the other Saw films.
Yep.
So I thought that was really unique and cool. Because as you're watching it, obviously in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, obviously he must have planned this or something.
Yep. Yeah, you knew he did. It was just
he
like, how's this
still
going
goes through the ringer. You know what I'm saying? He's still taking all that blood and stuff in his throat, and I'm just like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool, I thought. And the little boy, he was so sweet and so cute. He was like,
he pulled it back on himself at one point.
He did, yeah. And he was trying to tell him like not to do it, but he saw his friend was in trouble, so he wanted to help him.
Yep.
And I also thought, is he in on it? But maybe not.
Right.
Maybe he is, but obviously he is in on it. But I don't know if he was supposed to pull it back on himself or not, because he did tell him not to pull.
He didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah. So
he wasn't aware of anything. He just happened to be the wrong place, wrong time.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. So who else 100%. Was supposed to be on the trap? Please.
I think Amanda was supposed to be on that trap. Because
okay. Because that's why he was like, it didn't go according to plan exactly.
Right. Yeah. No.
Okay.
John would have definitely not. That's why John was like, "Hey, like he's innocent. Like he's not part of the game." You know.
Okay. I thought maybe he was just playing. Oh yeah. That.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Either way, they worked out, like he said. Everything worked out. It was supposed to work out.
Yeah, it worked out.
And when she pulled that bag off the shelf, I was like, "Ooh, got you, girl. You got."
Yep.
That was so good.
They got, boy.
That was so good.
Yep.
And the only thing I wouldn't say like these are like dislikes. This is more like so with like the story, not really so with the movie. But right after he was, let go from after the surgery, and he's feeling like he's healed basically, and that he was going to have a life again, and he was, drawing that trap, the head trap.
Yep.
And then he throws it away. And I was wondering, was he considering walking away from everything because now he was going to live, or what? Or I don't know if that's what that meant.
Right. Like
to
he was
you.
like,
What did you think?
Yeah, that's how I kind of saw it as too. Like he was kind of almost like, oh, like if I get this new chance at a longer life, like I might not go down this path anymore.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
That's what I got from that. Like almost like the feeling that he got of potentially being free again. Mm-hmm. I think almost like renewed his spirit in the sense of like, like maybe I don't have to like, put people in these traps anymore.
Right. Okay.
Maybe I can go. Maybe I can spend my time focused on other stuff. Right. Hanging out on the beach or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not put people in traps.
Yeah. Okay.
But
that's how
I feel like that scene helped add to his moment of frustration when he realized. Yeah. Like
these people done effed me up.
Oh, they scammed me. Yep.
Yeah. So in the movie, because I don't think I put this in the notes, but she was like, take this medicine and it's got painkillers in it. So I'm assuming that's why he didn't think that anything was wrong with his head. Because at first I was like, so he walking around with this supposed to be a scar in his head and he doesn't realize that there isn't one.
Right.
But I'm assuming because she's like, oh, there's pain medicine in this. He didn't think, okay, well, maybe it's not hurting, so it's not a problem because of this medicine she's giving me. I thought that was, because I was trying to first, like, why didn't he realize that he didn't have a cut in his head?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when he goes in there and the clinic's trashed and then the light's not working, I'm like, what? I guess they want to reiterate the fact that these people are gone, but it's like I feel like if they're packing up their stuff, what's they got to do with the lights not working? It was like flickering. And
oh yeah, because I took that as like they were trying to destroy evidence type thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how I took that. So
maybe so.
There's no trace. You can't find
it's
them.
Like, so why y'all just couldn't walk out? Why y'all had to do all this?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Diego's trap. When he was trying to run out the door with the bomb still on his hand, I was like, he do realize even if he get out, they still got these bombs on his arms. On him.
Yep. He's got them on him. Yep.
But that was so that was like the first real trap that we saw, and it was nasty.
Yeah.
The
special effects of the movie was crazy. They made it super nasty.
So good. I was like, oh.
Yep.
That is so gross. And then, I think my favorite part was when Gabriella was in the bathroom and the man smacked her upside the head with that door.
Yeah, she did. She tore her ass up. She was hot because she was like, "Man, y'all scam my boy John." He's like, right. Y'all are done.
She was playing no games with that door.
Yeah, I'm playing no games.
Yeah, she really wasn't. They really got what they deserved though. Mm-hmm. That was crazy. Obviously, the main girl, Dr. Cecilia, whatever, did the worst.
Oh, yeah. She's the ringleader. She's the one that brought them all together and stuff.
Yeah. And then, the way that the movie kind of like plays out, you kind of start to feel bad for Gabriella. And then you want her to make it.
Yep.
And then Dr. Cecilia killed her. I was like, dang, I was hoping she was going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
That was sad. I think that's all I had to say about it. Yeah, that's all I had to say. And then obviously the mid-credit saying, I can't stand Hoffman's ass. So I was just like, know. They had to bring his ass up in here.
Yeah, I like Hoffman, so I was glad to see him. Yep.
Yeah. So what about you, babe? What were your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I thought it was a decent movie. Like I thought it was pretty good. I probably put it in like right under maybe like the top 3 films. The things I liked, obviously special effects, like you said, like the traps were super nasty.
Yeah, they were.
I was actually surprised how far they went, like with the intestine thing. Like that was super nasty. I'm surprised they actually
it was like a terrifying
played that whole thing out like that. Like you just saw on her leg, her head getting cut off. Mm-hmm. I was very surprised by the gore level, but that was awesome. Like that was like some real Saw type shit.
Yeah. When Mateo was cutting off his head, and then Gabriella was like cringing and about to throw up. I was like, that's exactly how I feel right now.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. When he's trying to, take his brain out, that was super nasty. Like he literally just ripped a part of his brain out trying to make it. And it's always funny because both Mateo and Valentina could have made it if they just would have started sooner.
Yeah. They wasted so much time.
Yep.
I was like, they were right there at the cusp,
literally
but
right
always
there.
making it,
Yep.
and then that time ran right on out.
Yep. But I like the special effects, like the performances. I thought the traps were good. Obviously, having so much John Kramer, like you said, was great.
Mm-hmm.
Like getting that insight into what he's thinking, how he's feeling. Giving us that background, and I thought it was super funny the part when she was asking him, "Oh, like what do you do now?" He's like, well,
I got hobbies.
He's like, I used to be a civil engineer, but now I got other hobbies. What do you do? Well, I help people make better choices in their life. Yeah. Oh, so you're kind of like a life coach. Yeah, something like that. That was super funny, man. That was hilarious. So I did like that. Like just seeing his interactions, there was a lot of Tobin Bell, and that was just super cool because he really is and really makes what makes Saw what it is. What else did I like? I mean, I like the overall story. It was very straightforward, which I thought was cool. Mm-hmm. But it's also I'll talk about that in my dislikes too. But yeah, I like I kind of like the twist. But I'll talk about that in my dislikes as well because like all the things I like also have like a backside to it that I didn't see. Like. Yeah, but the twist is cool because I knew how it was gonna play, like something was gonna happen, but I didn't know how it was gonna play out.
Yeah,
mid-credit scene was cool. I like Hoffman, so I was glad to see him and see them back in Saw 1, and they got Henry's ass, which is cool. And it's funny because like I was wondering when he first saw Henry. And he had that scar and stuff like that. At first, I was like, when he went to that place and got scammed, I was like, oh man, so did Henry get scammed too? Or because he seemed mighty good.
I knew it.
Yeah, I definitely was glad they ended up getting, following back around on that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it was some great moments, some funny moments, some good Saw stuff. Like one funny moment within the traps itself was when Gabriella had, freed her foot. And then she kind of like, moved to the side. She was kind of dangling there thinking that she had time to kind of relax and get out of the trap. And then that thing started moving over. Like I think me and the person a couple seasons after, we both started laughing because it was just funny, like oh, you thought you ain't getting out this trap. Like you're going to have to deal with this trap. But yeah, her getting killed by Cecilia, I think just added to the stone coldness of Cecilia's character.
She was so mean.
She was just like the most disgusting person of the whole franchise I've ever seen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like she was
Which is weird because in the beginning, well, not the beginning, but earlier on with the trap started, she seemed like she was trying to help them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
she
was
really
talking them through it, but she didn't really care. Right? I was like, dang,
she's like,
she is
nothing
evil.
to me. Yep.
That's evil tale.
Yeah, she was cold blooded, boy. But yeah, like I enjoyed the film. Like it was cool to come back and revisit Saw. Get the interactions with these characters, even seeing some insight to Amanda, because we already knew that she had empathy for people. We saw that in some of the other Saw films. Yeah, I think it was Saw 3 when they kind of expanded upon like showing her like pulling people out the traps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But seeing her have that empathy for a drug abuser, which is what she had, and then to have her beat the trap and then still get killed, that was like super devastating to her. That was a good moment. I thought performance.
It was. Yeah, I thought that was a really good moment too. She was like, "You're sick."
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. But and this is also the first movie that played out like chronologically for the entire film. Normally with the Saw films, like. You start with people already in the traps, and sometimes you don't know why they're in the traps. Mm-hmm. And you kind of find out later the full story of why and who they're connected to. This one, like it played out like a normal movie. There's no plays on time or chronology or nothing like that. It's like you see exactly what happened, and so like why they're in the trap, and you want them to get tore up because the whole time I'm watching the beginning of this movie, I'm like, what's gonna happen. You just feel so bad. You're like, man, this is so criminal. Like, this is disgusting how they're doing this, man. But I also like the pig stalking part where Amanda was capturing people. I like how
Yeah, I
they
thought
made
that
it
was good too.
like very suspenseful and
Mm-hmm.
like that they did that really good. I liked all those elements. The pig mask looked different, which I thought was weird.
It
Yeah,
did. It
yeah.
looked more like a pig,
It looked more like the
like
spiral one.
skin or
Like the spiral
something.
one looked really weird.
Yeah,
This reminded me
yeah,
of. I was like,
yeah.
oh, that ain't right. Maybe that's all they had
Mm-hmm.
access to. I don't know. Um, now this isn't really like a dislike, but I was surprised by the fact that they didn't have more connecting pieces to the other Saw movies. I
Mm-hmm.
thought there was going to be some linkage into the other Saw movies beyond just like tiny Easter eggs, like the head trap and stuff like that. I thought they were going to have some other revelations and connections, but it didn't. It was
Mm-hmm.
just super straightforward, like a
Yeah,
super straightforward Saw movie, which I think worked in its favor to be decent. Because I feel like they
yeah.
try to go too wild with connections, stuff like that, but it became too goofy or something.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah.
Now, for some of my dislikes,
Now, did the time thing that wasn't really a factor in the first Saw movie, was it?
what?
Well, I guess in a way it was. Um, the whole time thing you're talking about. I said it wasn't really like a major thing in the first Saw film.
What? What? What do you mean?
I guess my point being because this one is like after the first Saw film. Was that something they did in the first one? Like the whole play on time thing?
Play on time? What do you mean by like this? How the story's pieced together within the
Mm-hmm.
film itself? Well, yeah, because you don't
Mm-hmm.
really know why they're there. Remember, they're figuring it out while they're in
Well,
the
yeah.
trap.
Yeah, that
Um,
part, yeah.
mm-hmm. Yep.
But I feel like the whole like, watching the movie and realizing that what's happened has already happened doesn't really happen until like after that, right? After the first Saw film.
Yeah, it's always. I feel like a lot of the films are like that.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking
I
about?
can't really remember it that well.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the films are people in the traps, and you got to
I
figure
said,
out why.
yeah, a lot of them are. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about the first one.
Oh yeah, the first one's the same way. You don't know why Dr. Gordon's in there. You know that's why him and Adam are talking to each other. Like, well, what are you doing in here? Well, shit, what are you doing
No.
here?
I'm talking about the time thing. You were talking about, at least how I'm thinking you're talking about, like, for example, the one when Hoffman was playing the tape at the coroner's office, and we're thinking that that's something
Oh,
that
right, yeah, that already happened.
that kind of stuff.
Oh,
That's what I thought you were talking about.
oh yeah, I was talking about. Yeah, that's what I was talking about too. Where, but what I'm saying is, even with the first Saw film, we start with them already in the trap. And in this movie, no, in the beginning, no one's trapped. We're literally watching the story play out.
Okay, so you're more so talking about how
how the movie sequence
starts
together.
with us getting the people involved in the trap.
Yeah,
okay.
this one, like, there's literally no flashbacks.
Gotcha.
At all.
There's a couple.
Which ones?
They flashed back to they flashback. They do flashback, but I can't remember now because you put me on the spot.
Well, what I'm saying is it's very minimal. Normally there's a lot of
it's
like,
not a lot. Yeah,
there's a lot of like, diving back to the memory or diving back to what happened. With this movie, it's very present and it's very with the flow of time.
Yeah,
there's no like, oh, this already happened actually, or this happened earlier, or right. What happened? No, what happened before was to a flashback. Like, this was like a regular movie in the sense of we see a character. He goes and does something bad happens.
Yeah.
And now he's putting him in trap. Now he's getting revenge. And boom. Like, it's very clear. Like, there's no guessing or like surprises with what occurred. Like, it's all super straightforward and plays in order.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was just different. Because even with the first movie, we start with Gordon.
Oh, Adam, I know what I was talking about as far as flashbacks are concerned is when we think that Parker is someone who was also scammed, but then when he reveals who he is, it does flashback to them already knowing that he was involved. That's the one flashback.
Oh, yeah. The flashback of them planning it all out. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, some of the things I didn't like was Cecilia being such a stone cold bitch. Like, I was hoping that her trap would be way more brutal. Her just kind of just being stuck in that room, I thought was kind of like, as mean as like just awful as she was, she should have got like obliterated. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree with that.
What else did I put on here? I can't remember what I said earlier about me talking about some of these pieces in the thing. Kind of double-sided, you know, I didn't have the connections to any of the other Saw movies. So that wasn't as, you know, like it was fine. I just expected it to have more connections. Let's see what else. I thought the title card was kind of like oddly placed. Like I don't know, like when he was in the MRI machine, and then it like Saw 10 came on the screen. Same thing with the ending title, like how they were walking out of the house and Saw 10 came on the screen. I was like, yeah, that's awfully plain. Like they usually, you know, there's usually much more of a bang when the title cards come on in the Saw movies. You normally start with the trap, and then boom, it's like, yeah, this is Saw. Like you watching the Saw movie. Like we didn't really get that with this one. I almost feel like they could have opened it a little bit differently, but I get what they're going for. There's this more straightforward, more examining John's characters. They wanted to just kind of focus on that. You know, okay, that's cool. Let's see what else. I'm looking through my notes because I mentioned something earlier. I was like, oh, I'm going to get into that after the fact. I think it was just a time thing. Them not really getting Cecilia like in like a brutal way. Like I was really hoping that it would be a little bit more brutal. One thing I did bring up to you after you watched it was I was wondering, I feel like in the other films he said live or die, make your choice. But in this film he said live or die, the choice is yours.
Why are you hung up on that?
Am I wrong? I feel like that's what he said though, because it sounded different. Because I know he said make your choice. Maybe he started saying the choice is yours in super later films. I know originally he was saying make your choice.
Oh my goodness!
But it was dope to hear his voice. You know what's kind of funny though was when Cecilia was like, "Oh, when I knew it was Jig fucking Saw." Like I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna beat him in his own game." And then she said she mocked him at one point, was like, "Oh, put on the voice, John. I want to play a game." That joke was hilarious. I actually thought that part was funny.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. I think I mentioned everything, man. I'm going through my notes. Yeah, I did like the twist, even though it wasn't like a major one. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So the twist is cool, right? Now the thing was with the ending, right? But this is what I was going to talk about. So the twist was that they knew who he was the whole time, and they were going to, surprise him by putting him in this room in this trap. My thing was, if they knew who he was the whole time, once he got there, like why they just didn't put him in a trap? You know what I'm saying? Like why?
He gave them the rule, and if he had not gone by the rule, right, he wouldn't have ended up in the trap.
No. What I'm saying is they could have just put him in a game where he could have played by the rules of the game, and so then John Kramer and what should have been Amanda would have never had to play that game where they had the blood going over them and risk the fact that they could die from it. If they already knew who he was, as soon as they knocked him out, they should have threw his ass in a game. You know what I'm saying?
This made it more interesting.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of my problem, right? Is they were trying to think of a twist because all the Saw movies have to have a twist, right? It's got to be a twist. It's like, well, what twist can we use? Well, this whole time they knew who he was, and surprise, they're gonna get his ass when he goes upstairs. But I don't know. I feel like they could have found a different kind of twist, and I mean, it still worked. I still thought it was fine, but in my mind, I'm just like, it doesn't seem very smart to put yourself in the position where you could die from the trap. Because what if they didn't go upstairs immediately? What if they waited for him to die? You know what I'm saying? Like he would have been effed. Like he would have been screwed. So I thought the twist was cool, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay, like why did y'all play it out that way? Because that could have went way wrong. They could have went way left.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the only other thing I think that really stuck out to me. But yeah, no, I honestly thought that this was like this is a very straightforward, decent Saw film. Like It had all the elements that we like. You know, we only got the Billy Puppet that one time. Wish
Yeah.
we'd have got him a couple more times. And I feel like that's really the only thing that takes away from these types of like group films is, you know, we don't get a lot of the intros of I want to play a game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I do like the emphasis throughout. I did like the emphasis back on John's original point with the games was, you know, that they're winnable and they help you, you know, gain new perspective to fix your life. You know what I'm saying? Like Diego now, he gonna turn a whole new leaf. You know what I'm saying?
Gabriella would have,
right. And he even said that. He's like, she won her game. She needs medical attention. I did like the emphasis back on like, you know, like I'm not serial killing these people. I'm, you know, I'm harshly making them gain new perspective on life.
Yeah.
So I did like the emphasis back because, you know, I feel like as the Saw films went on, we lost sight of the John's point of the games. Right. So it's cool to get his emphasis again. Like, hey, these are the point. If they win, get the medical attention.
Right. Because after Diego's, he gave him the first aid kit.
Yep, he brought first aid. He even like, you know, kind of rubbed, you know, put his hand on him, kind of like to comfort him, like, hey, you won. Like, I'm a man of my word. Like, you won the game. I'm gonna help you out. You're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was just cool, man. I love hearing John. He's like, and then even when Gabriella was like, she like threw the tape. He's like, no, you have to play the game. Your ass gonna play the game. I don't care if you heard the tape or not.
Yeah.
And then he repeated the tape through the intercom. Like that was hard.
Yeah.
You gonna play this game. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this was a decent film, man. Like I think it met all my expectations. I think the only one it probably didn't meet was I thought there'd be more connection with the rest of the franchise. I don't know if that was intentional for them to be able to leave room to do more Saw films within this time span of John still being around.
Yeah.
But I thought
I know that at the end, I was kind of like, oh, I wonder if they're going to try to like get something else out of this story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without Hoffman, likely. That's what I'm hoping. I'm just playing.
I like Hoffman, but I don't know if I mentioned it on here too, but the pig stalking was cool. Like all the capture moments was very suspenseful, thriller.
Yeah,
that was good.
Say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think we hit all the main points.
Yeah, no, this is decent. If I had to give it a rating, if I had to just go off the top right now, I'd give it like a somewhere in the neighborhood of like a 3.25, 3.5, somewhere around there. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I think I'll do a solid 3.
Yeah, because the movie was decent. Way better than a lot of the crap that we got in some of the other later films.
Yeah. It's funny that the writers and that director of this film had some of the ones on our lower end of the spectrum.
Some of the worst. That's weird, right? Literally, because like Kevin Grutert made one of the best and one of the worst ones of the entire franchise. Thankfully, this is one of the better ones. Yeah. But the writers are people who wrote like some of the worst ones. Yeah. Now, Jigsaw isn't too bad, but it is bad. Now, Spiral is just awful.
Yeah, compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. That's what we think of Saw 10. Let us know in the comments whether you're watching on YouTube or where you're listening on Spotify. We have the option on Spotify where you can answer the question. There'll be a question there that asks you if you've seen Saw 10, what you think about it. So write down either in that or in the YouTube comments your thoughts on Saw 10. If you're kind of in line with us that you really liked it, or maybe you didn't like it, let us know all the reasons why you didn't. But that'll conclude today's episode of the In Love with Horror podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into the entire thing. If you made it this far, we really do appreciate y'all listening, and make sure you are subscribed and following us on Spotify podcasts, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, YouTube, IG. Subscribe to everything, y'all, and follow us because the spooky season is officially here. We got October literally just a day away from us, or 2 days away from us recording this. And it's an exciting time, a lot of content. So we'll be doing like a lot of reviews and, of course, talking about what we're watching in the month of October, movie marathons, all that good stuff. So stay tuned, stay locked in, stay subscribed. And also don't forget to leave us a rating. The ratings just help us get better visibility on the podcast platforms. You already got a couple. Thank y'all to the few that have done it. But please do go in there and give us some ratings as well if you're enjoying the podcast. Again, this has been another great episode of In Love with Horror podcast, y'all. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.